A woman awoke to find herself in a strange space, surrounded by a semi-transparent membrane. Behind her, something seemed to be moving. At first, she didn't realize the danger until light reflected strange hands. Panicked, she wanted to escape, but little did she know something even more terrifying awaited her ahead. No matter how much she struggled, she couldn't escape this place full of monstrous creatures and bizarre traps. What happened must be traced back to the day before. Lisa, heartbroken from losing her beloved daughter, had, in despair, decided to lie down in the street and abandon herself to fate. But the thought of her flesh and blood beneath a car's wheels instinctively made her hesitate. A kind driver stopped and asked if she needed a ride. As if possessed, Lisa got into the car. On the radio, a news report blared. Police were hunting for a serial killer. The suspect had a cross tattoo on his arm and was driving a brown truck. The description perfectly matched the driver beside her. A sudden sense of unease welled up in Lisa's heart. Suddenly, the scene shifted, and Lisa vaguely awoke from a coma. She found herself trapped in a confined space, surrounded by steel walls that wouldn't budge no matter how hard she hit them. Desperately, Lisa screamed for help, but only dead silence answered her. It was then that Lisa noticed her clothes had been changed, and a glowing bracelet adorned her arm. This strange object was not only impossible to remove but also incredibly rigid. Lisa instantly fell into deep despair. Suddenly, a mysterious door opened behind her. At the other end of the tunnel, a light flickered, resembling an exit. Hope surged within Lisa. The moment she crawled into the tunnel, the door closed behind her, cutting off her retreat. She could only crawl forward. At this point, a countdown timer appeared on her bracelet. It seemed she had fallen into a survival game. Lisa tried to stay calm and crawled onward. Strange noises occasionally echoed through the tunnel. She risked a glance around but found nothing unusual. Lisa focused, thinking she needed to reach the exit quickly. Suddenly, an obstruction appeared in the tunnel. Lisa angrily crawled towards the metal gate. It was tightly sealed, impossible to pry open with human strength. Left with no choice, she squeezed into a narrow side passage. Through the constricted space, Lisa saw a section of brightly colored tunnel. A board in the middle divided the entire space into 2 levels. After a moment of hesitation, she finally chose the upper level. She didn't know where this tunnel would lead. As she worried, the dividing board suddenly began to rise. The upper tunnel grew progressively narrower. Lisa gasped in cold sweat. Fortunately, her speed was swift, and she managed to crawl out of the tunnel just before the board completely closed. Lisa lay on the ground, gasping for breath. Turning her head, she saw a figure ahead. "Hello, is anyone there?" She thought she had found other victims and quickly crawled to check, only to discover it was a long-decayed corpse. A countdown timer was on its wrist too, its condition suggesting death by extreme heat. Lisa suppressed her nausea, crawled past the corpse, and continued forward. As a result, another gate sprang up, blocking her path. The countdown timer suddenly blared, about to hit 0. Immediately after, for surrounding walls extended fire-spraying nozzles. Lisa realized that if she didn't do something, she would surely be roasted alive. Fortunately, at the last moment, a hidden alcove appeared in the wall behind her. Lisa didn't hesitate to crawl into it. As the insulated glass lowered, the number on the timer reached 0 just in time. Violent flames erupted, instantly engulfing the entire tunnel. Lisa survived by the skin of her teeth once more, but before she could catch her breath, the alcove moved, pushing her out. Even more incredibly, the tunnel's ceiling began to descend until Lisa could no longer even turn over before it stopped. She felt no joy in surviving the accident, but rather screamed in despair, because the countdown timer had started again. This meant a new round of escape had begun. Powerless, Lisa could only continue crawling in this cramped space. Fortunately, not long after, a watery area appeared ahead. She replenished her water, then slid down by gravity. Luckily, another exit wasn't too far. As Lisa crawled up, the tunnel ahead began to forcefully discharge water again. She tried to steady herself, ensuring she wouldn't be swept away. But this was just the beginning. The strong current swept a corpse down. In horror, Lisa swallowed several gulps of water. When the tunnel was almost full of water, she took a deep breath and dove into the water source's exit. The water here had drained, and Lisa finally regained her mobility. However, the tunnel ahead remained unchanged. Without food or drink for several hours, she had long been exhausted. Not long after, she collapsed to the ground. As she was about to fall asleep, she vaguely heard a man's cry for help. This ignited Lisa's will to survive. She rallied her spirits and quickly crawled towards the sound. As she passed a section of the tunnel, the board below suddenly split in 2, revealing bubbling green liquid. A strong sense of unease welled up in Lisa's heart. She tore off a piece of cloth to test it, and the cloth quickly corroded into black ash. Lisa focused intensely, using both her hands and feet to try and cross. As time was about to run out, she slipped and nearly fell. Her knee barely touched the liquid and was corroded, tearing her flesh. However, the cries for help ahead made Lisa forget her pain. She thought that if she could meet a companion here, her chances of survival would significantly increase. Finally, she crawled to a door. Lisa had at last found the source of the voice. Unfortunately, the tunnel was too dark for either of them to see each other's faces. Lisa advised the man to calm down, but the other person, tormented, had gone insane. "They'll be back. Don't make a sound." Just then, the countdown timers on both their wrists simultaneously blared a warning. Fire-spraying nozzles extended one after another, and the only alcove appeared directly between them. Lisa, who had previously wanted to cooperate with the man, immediately changed her mind. The moment the blocking door disappeared, she frantically lunged towards the alcove, beginning a deadly struggle with the man. Finally, with a kick, Lisa sent the man flying. As the insulated glass lowered, the man's wrist was severed. Lisa gazed in horror at the cross tattoo on the severed hand. It turned out the man in front of her was the killer driver. He had also been trapped here. Under Lisa's bewildered gaze, the man was engulfed by furious flames, while she herself, mentally exhausted, fainted. When Lisa awoke again, a mechanical skull emerged from the corner of the alcove. It not only helped Lisa treat her wounds but also provided her with enough nutrient solution. Lisa's thoughts cleared. She recalled the details of the car accident earlier. The killer driver's identity was exposed, and he initially wanted to kill her to silence her, but the car overturned. Lisa vaguely saw a beam of light descending from the sky. The two people who should have died were brought here. Lisa was still a little confused knowing the truth. All of this was simply too strange. She slowly crawled out of the alcove. The killer's body was gone, leaving only the severed hand. The bracelet on it had shifted from its original position, revealing several strange symbols. Lisa wanted to study it further, but the tunnel ahead once again activated a mechanism. High-speed fans, like blades of death, slowly approached. Lisa, terrified, kept backing away, watching helplessly as the killer's arm was crushed. Fortunately, not far behind, there was an upward passage. She miraculously escaped death once more. The timer on her hand began a new countdown. Lisa didn't know how much longer she would have to crawl in here. Suddenly, a sound came from above. Something seemed to be approaching. She curiously turned her head, only to see a dark shadow crawling down from the upper tunnel. Lisa was so scared she barely dared to breathe, because she recognized it. It truly looked like a burnt corpse, and its arm was missing a section. Clearly, it was the killer who had just been incinerated. Lisa suppressed her fear and quickly crawled away with all her might. Relying on her physical strength, she continuously turned several corners, finally outmaneuvering the monster behind her. Just then, the countdown timer started alarming again. This time, there was no alcove. Lisa curiously looked at the two forks in the road ahead. After some hesitation, she finally chose to turn left. But before she had crawled a few steps, her daughter's singing suddenly echoed from ahead. All confusion and fear were swept away. Lisa followed the tunnel to a white room. Both walls were like projection screens, displaying her daughter's life, from the happy moments of her birth to the scene of her daughter falling from the building. Lisa's heart was filled with regret. It was only because of her carelessness that her daughter had died in that accident. She took a deep breath to calm herself. Now is not the time for sorrow, because the monster was chasing her again. Lisa continued to flee through the tunnel, but unexpectedly, a pile of iron spikes blocked her path. Seeing the monster about to catch up, there was a light ahead in the tunnel that looked very much like an exit. Lisa decided to take a gamble. She konan dao don, mak cho and hung gai sat sao zuak koda. However, this was not the most dangerous thing. The countdown timer on her bracelet began to alarm. The killer behind her had taken the only alcove. At this point, Lisa had no way back. She could only crawl forward regardless of the consequences. Regrettably, just as she was about to reach the exit, the countdown on her bracelet completely reached 0. Raging flames surged forward. Just as they were about to engulf Lisa, the floor below suddenly split open. She miraculously escaped death once again. When Lisa awoke, she found herself back at the starting point. Deep despair swelled in her heart. Thinking of the dangers she had endured along the way, she truly no longer had the confidence to try again. Just then, the mechanical skull reappeared from above, preparing to treat her wounds. Lisa lay on the ground, and the special symbols on the killer's arm flashed in her mind. She immediately drew them one by one on the wall. She realized these were directional symbols. Lisa's heart once again ignited with hope. When the tunnel door opened, she familiarly crawled forward. Whenever the countdown timer reached 0, Lisa would duck into the alcove to avoid the flames. After passing through the water path and reaching the acid corridor, she intentionally placed her bracelet into the liquid, using its strong corrosive properties to cut it off. Finally, she saw the directional signs on her wrist. Everything was as predicted. Lisa's eyes gleamed with confidence. When facing a fork in the road, she used the signs to choose her direction. Along the way, she encountered the burnt killer again. Lisa was no longer as afraid as before, because a strong belief burned within her. After continuously taking 5 turns, the path ahead finally changed. Lisa saw a thin, paper-like membrane ahead. She crawled in without hesitation. This place was like the womb of a creature. Lisa felt inexplicably relieved. Suddenly, a giant 3-fingered hand slammed down. She startled, anxiously looking around, and discovered several strange creature shadows outside the transparent membrane. The 3-fingered hands formed a circle. The fear in Lisa's heart gradually dissipated. Suddenly, a human face appeared through the membrane, but quickly, the figure retreated. Lisa followed the figure's movement and escaped from this strange space. At this moment, the countdown timer's alarm sounded again, and the burnt monster also caught up. Lisa continuously twisted and turned, hiding in the only alcove. But the imagined flames did not appear, the insulated glass also disappeared. Lisa directly faced the monster. By instinct, she pressed firmly on the monster's head, then used the thrust from the alcove to smash its head. After calming down, Lisa finally reached the last fork in the road. Following the signs, she chose the right tunnel. However, on the left, her daughter's figure appeared. The little girl urged her to come along. Lisa knew that everything before her was an illusion. Although she desperately longed to reunite with her daughter, she wanted to survive more. After refusing her daughter's offer, the illusion before her vanished. Lisa continued to crawl into the right tunnel. The bright exit was right ahead. Lisa felt incredibly comfortable all over. Suddenly, a blade fell forcefully from above, piercing through the floor. Unexpectedly, the final challenge was the legendary blade-dropping tunnel. Lisa didn't want to give up at this point. She calculated the timing, quickly moved her body, and then smoothly passed the first 2 blade-dropping obstacles. But when she passed the last one, half of her foot was severed by the blade. Nevertheless, Lisa didn't care about the pain at all, because the exit was right in front of her. But the moment her hand reached out, she realized the exit was just an image created by a screen. This game, made up of many tunnels, fundamentally had no exit. Lisa fell into infinite despair. Even when the countdown timer reached 0, she didn't bother to evade. However, violent flames did not appear, instead, there was a white stream of light. Lisa's entire body floated in midair. When she awoke, she found herself in a world of lush greenery and clear waters. Her feet were completely healed, and her body had no other injuries. What surprised Lisa even more was that her daughter had appeared beside her at some unknown point. The little girl told her, "Mom's body has died many times, but now it's safe." This is the entire content of the movie Minder. The first half of this film was quite good, but the ending was too abrupt, leading to much criticism from the audience. Many people speculate that the labyrinthine tunnel was a product of alien technology. After all, that white light stream greatly resembled an alien landing scene. Furthermore, the 3-fingered creatures Lisa saw behind the semi-transparent membrane could reasonably be explained as aliens, especially the final world she was in, which in no way resembled a scene that could be found on Earth. Alright, that's the end of today's video. If you have any other opinions, please leave them in the comments section below. Thank you and see you again.